and they win the NFC South.
What's good, everybody? Let's talk some Tampa sports. Welcome to week 7 of the Opps, where we dig into the Buccaneers' opponent of that week. This week, we have a familiar foe in the Detroit Lions. Fourth time seeing them in 3 seasons. Played them twice in 2023. Bucs lost both times. Played them early on last year in Detroit. Bucs won in Detroit. Now we're back in Detroit. Monday Night Football. Thank you, Lord, for that early 7:15 slot. So, let's go ahead and get into the Detroit Lions, talking a little bit about the team overall first. They're 4-2. They have 2 losses. Those 2 losses come in week 1 against the Green Bay Packers. Kind of a one-off in my eyes. They just didn't come out hot. It is what it is. They end up winning 4 in a row after that. Then they have last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, where interesting game. I think the guys got a little bit away from their game a little bit. I feel like I'd like to see a little bit more from Montgomery. He only had a handful of I just feel like they got a little bit away from their bread and butter. Regardless, we all watched that game. I'm not going to get into that drama because that's for Lions and Chiefs fans, but if he calls, if he no calls, you know what I'm saying. But they do end up losing that one in Kansas City. And now they do sit at 4-2. Bucs sit at 5-1. And how can this not be the game of the week? So let's go ahead and get into their team coaching wise. They do have some changes. Obviously, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson goes to Chicago. Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator of last year, goes to the New York Jets. And obviously Dan Campbell's still there. So still biting kneecaps, but nothing has really changed. It's still the same primary group of guys on offense and defense, and I don't think the production has fallen off at all, so don't look at it and be like, oh, they got a new offensive coordinator, defense coordinator. We can take advantage of that. I think through the first 5 weeks of their season, they put up the most amount of points the Detroit Lions team has ever put up in their history. It's a pretty historical franchise, like old-wise, and that's the first year as Ben Johnson has exited, so yeah, it's the same group of guys. They're going to continue doing the same thing. Same thing with the Bucs, where we've gone from Canales to Liam Cohen, now to Josh Grizzard, and we haven't lost a step either. So it's the same sort of thing. It's the same group of guys. You got your Goffs, you got your Gibbs, you got your Montgomery, St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Laporta, Sewell, defensive side, Hutchinson, Reeder, Anzalone, Campbell. Some shaky things on the back end. But still Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, not this game, but you know what? It's the same group of guys. I'm just not feeling on my game today. I'm really not feeling on my game. So, you ever know your brain, like you just show up to work and your brain is kind of just like foggy and you're just like, let me just get through this. So bear with me if I'm not that. Let's start with Jared Goff, shall we? That's where everything starts. So just quick rundown on his numbers. 14 passing touchdowns to only 2 interceptions, nearly 1,400 yards. But really, the most impressive thing in my eyes so far for him this season, see what I'm saying, is his completion percentage, which is sitting at 76%, which is a crazy number. But it's just efficient, and that's what Jared Goff is. He's not this athlete who's going to make these crazy plays. Though he nearly had a receiving touchdown last week, he's just efficient. He knows where to go with the football, gets the ball out quick, and everything is built off of that run game, which only helps him even more feel comfortable. You know what you're going to get from Jared Goff, and at this point in the season, he is in that conversation with Baker. If you want to throw Josh Allen in there, I didn't love that game in Atlanta, but Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, all of those guys in those MVP talks currently through 6 weeks. So still early, but both of the quarterbacks in this game absolutely in those talks. Running back room, best in the NFL in my eyes, Jahmyr Gibbs. There's your sonic, there's your speed, there's your pass catching, and then you got your knuckles behind him and David Montgomery. There's your power, there's your pass blocking, very good pass blocking running back. You know what you're going to get there from those guys, household names at this point. Wide receiver room, very top heavy in my eyes. You got your St. Brown, which is one of the best receivers in the NFL, one of the best slot receivers, if not the best slot receiver in the NFL. Then you go Jameson Williams. At this point, yes, everyone's still, I feel like outside of Detroit probably still looks at him as like a deep threat guy, but they paid him for a reason. At this point, he's not just a deep threat. He has rounded out his game very well. So that's two very good receivers right there. Outside of that, this is where there's a bit of a drop-off. It's not like it's bad, but it's also not what the Bucs have if they're healthy. Where the Bucs have lost wide receiver 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Baker's still throwing for 260, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions due to depth. I don't think they have that. If they lost St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Isaac Tesla, and then Khalif Raymond, it might get shaky over there in Detroit. So luckily for them, must be nice, they are healthy with all of these weapons. At running back, Gibbs Montgomery is healthy. Obviously, the Bucs won't have Bucky Irving. At receiver, St. Brown, J-Mo, healthy. Obviously, the Bucs won't have Chris Godwin, Emeka Ibuka, Jalen McMillan, probably Mike Evans. So definitely some injury-related things we'll have to go into tomorrow during our preview when we actually talk about the matchups instead of just talking about the Detroit Lions. Tight end, Sam Laporta, one of the best in the NFL. Don't have to say much there. As for their offensive line, some new faces here. Some new faces that I'm not quite used to, that I had to look up some of these guys. Dan Skipper, of course, Taylor Decker is still there. He is injured, so Dan Skipper is the starter from your left tackle, going left to right on your screen there. Left guard is a late round pick from last year, Mahogany. I think he was 6th round guy. Has been playing pretty well in my eyes so far this year, and graded pretty well by Pro Football Focus as well. Their center has been a guy that's been there since 2023, so that's a guy that we know. Ratledge is a rookie from Georgia. I do remember him looking at him during the draft process. 6'6", 320, some serious size for the right guard position. And they did snag him in the 2nd round, once again, from Georgia. And then Penei Sewell. Top 2, maybe not 2. At the right tackle position, it's only him and Lane Johnson in my eyes. So that's your offense for Detroit. Like I said, it all starts with the run and builds off of that. What I was kind of talking about earlier in the video, where I feel like they got away from their game a little bit in Kansas City, is typically what they've done so far this season. Gibbs leads the way. He is the lead back. He has the most amount of snaps in that running back room, but they'll typically lead with him in that first half and then bring in Montgomery in that second half as the defense begins to wear down in that third and in that fourth quarter, and just pound, and really, really wear down that defense, where in the game last week in Kansas City, he only had a handful of carries, which I think you need to use both of these guys interchangeably if you're the Detroit Lions. So, and like I said, building off that run, you'll find Amon-Ra, middle of the field. Sam Laporta, middle of the field. Jamison Williams, really good receiver out wide. And it's a lot. You'll see some play action. You'll see some screens. It's a very well-rounded offense and very good in the middle of the field, which I'm not going to spoil anything for tomorrow, but looking at the Bucs, it's something we'll have to note. All right, let's go to that defense now, shall we? So let's get Aiden Hutchinson out of the way. Absolute beast, absolute monster. Had 4.5 sacks against the Bucs last year. And it's the same situation, different guy, same situation. So Aiden Hutchinson used to primarily line up against the right tackle. This year, he's actually been moving around a little bit. So maybe we'll see him on Tristan Wirfs. Maybe we'll see him on Charlie Heck. We'll probably see him more on Charlie Heck. Last year, it was a different backup right tackle for the Buccaneers, which Aiden Hutchinson was obviously able to take advantage of, getting 4.5 sacks in a game. Once again, he'll be going up against a backup right tackle, with the Bucs missing half their offensive line still to this day. Opposite of him, they have Tyler Lacey, but I know there's a Muhammad on this team. Let me go ahead. I'm sorry. Al-Qadim Muhammad, which I think he has 5 sacks of his own. So you got Hutchinson, who I think currently has 5.5, and then Muhammad here also has, let me confirm, 5 sacks as well. So I'm not sure why they have the other guy ahead of him on Pro Football Focus on this screen, but yeah. Lacey, if you're just looking up Lacey, I don't think he has any sacks on the year, but Muhammad, obviously, like I just showed you, has 5. And they're getting a boost to their interior. Obviously, DJ Reader's already a very good veteran, but Aleem McNeil is returning this game. So how lucky for us, a team missing 2 of their offensive linemen. Well, Detroit is getting guys back. Moving to that second level, it's very good as well. It is. Anzalone, a captain on their team, very well-rounded. All of these guys are very well-rounded, honestly, in my eyes. Anzalone probably didn't have his best game last week, just from what I was watching, but expect a bounce back from him. Honestly, expect a bounce back from the entire team. I mean, they're going back to Detroit, coming off of a loss. You know, they're going to be hungry. That's for sure. Bucs will be hungry too. And we'll talk tomorrow about what the Bucs will be ready to bring to them. Moving to Jack Campbell, very good linebacker as well. Extremely elite against the run, but can do anything else that you want. Then we move to the secondary, which is where, like I said, they're pretty healthy, at least in comparison to the Bucs everywhere else. But secondary, they are missing both of their starters, and even guys behind that. So currently, you have Amik Robertson, who is a veteran in this league at this point, drafted in 2020, playing one cornerback position. And then you have Rock Ya-Sin, who has been in the league, moved around for a while. I remember watching him at Temple. Pretty sure, yep. That's who's opposite of him. So, yeah, you're missing Terrion Arnold. You're missing DJ Reed, Avonte Maddox. There's some guys missing there. Of course, they still have Kirby Joseph, who is just a playmaker. Tons of interceptions, tons of big plays. They paid him for a reason. But Brian Branch will be out due to what occurred post-game in Kansas City. So currently they have Thomas Harper listed as the starter for the Detroit Lions. Yeah. It's an interesting secondary. It's an injured secondary. Not household names outside of Kirby Joseph with Amik Robertson and Rock Ya-Sin. But it's honestly, if you're a Detroit Lions fan, you're just like, okay, if it's going to happen, it'll happen this game against the Bucs, where they probably don't have wide receiver 1 through 4. You're going to be going up against Cam Johnson, Tez Johnson, Sterling Shepard, where typically it would be Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka, Jalen McMillan. So it's Bucs injuries out wide versus Lions injuries on the back end. I do think that covers about everything, though. As always, these videos do well with Bucs fans, but it's also my highest performing videos against the opposing team of that week. So comes across any Detroit Lions fans. I know my video last year, I did get some subscribers from Detroit Lions fans, so we'll see if any of them stuck around and end up watching this video. Let me know down in the comments anything I missed, any context that needs to be added injury-wise, any under-the-radar guys that I may have missed, anything like that. Let me know down in the comment section below. My voice is running out. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Go Bucs. Y'all have a blessed one.